Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's tutorial, you are going to learn how to cut out patterned paper using your brother ScanNCut. Not only that, you are in for a treat because you are going to get to preview 5 new products from our 2020 mini catalog by Stampin Up. I've used 5 new products for the 15 projects I'll be showing you, so please stick around. And for those of you that need a little hint as to the projects I'll be showing you, in my last video, I showed you how to cut out boxes using your brother ScanNCut. So be sure to check out that video about the template maker. I created 4 little boxes using some of the cutouts, some of the embellishments that I'm going to teach you how to cut out, along with many cards and even a little paper purse. So that's your little sneak or your little hint as to the 15 projects you'll be seeing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get started with this piece of designer series paper. Now, I'm going to do this whole process twice for reinforcement so that you can see how I unload the mat and where I position the paper. But for now, suffice it to say, I'm going to just put this in sort of the middle of the mat because I don't want to cut any of the bottles off. And I'm going to be explaining that visually when I move the machine. My machine kind of squeaks when I move it, and I didn't want to start out the video with a lot of shakiness. So in the middle of this video, I'll show you all the papers in this stack, and then we'll cut out another paper as well. So I put the piece of paper on the mat, it's all I've done, and I need to load my mat. Okay, so you turn on your machine and you're gonna load the mat using this button here. And I don't mean I put it in the middle. I didn't actually put the sheet in the middle. I just didn't put it right near the top of the mat. And I kind of put it a little bit a ways because the edges of the mat cut off what you're scanning. And I will visually show you that. All right, so you have a piece of pattern paper. Now, don't worry. I know my team members, one of the benefits of being a Stampin' Up demonstrator, whether you do it as a hobby or a business, is that you get to pre-order. So we were able, my team, so I'm dedicating this to my team because we have this paper or we can order this paper. But many of you cannot. Okay, so I am just going to show you something that you can use with any paper you have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and scan. Okay, so we're going to hit scan. Now because we're going to directly cut out this paper, we're hitting direct cut. Okay, and then we're going to save it to our machine. This is just temporary storage. Where are you saving the information? This is the data. I'm just going to select my machine. And I don't want 12 by 6 mode. I want 12 by 12. Because if I use 12 by 6, I cut off part of the paper. So make sure your scanning area is set to 12 by 12 inches. You don't have to do that with CM models, but with the XTX models, you do that. Now there's a little bottle of perfume in this stack. And I had a little trouble with it. And you may have to use what's called my pencil trick, but we're not going to worry about that right now because I'm not cutting out all of them, but I do want to mention that. Okay, as it's recognizing, I need to pull out the other piece of that. So always use black and white recognition mode when you have good contrast like we do here. We have good contrast between the foreground and the background. Therefore, black and white recognition mode is fine. Here we go. Here's the other piece of that. So let me just show you what may have happened before. We're just going to anticipate. Sometimes when you have paper like this, okay, that not all, this might not be connected and it might not get recognized, that little bit. So you would just use a pencil to fill in that hole. We're going to see what happened because yesterday 1 bottle of perfume didn't get recognized, but the rest did when I did this. Okay, so I'm going to say okay. So you've scanned a piece of paper in and you say okay. It did a beautiful job actually, but I'm just letting you know that if you ever have pattern paper where there's an object that's not fully connected, be sure to use a pencil and fill in that. So today it did a better job. Yay for my ScanNCut when I'm making a video. You're doing a better job than you did when I was by myself. So hip hip hooray. Now, notice I didn't put the paper up too close to the top because it would have cut off my images. Now what I'm doing, just so you know, is I'm framing the image. So whenever you scan in pattern paper or stamped images, you're going to frame the image so you're not scanning in all those scratch marks on your mat, etc., etc. Now, the other thing I want to do is ignore object size because if I don't, I'm going to end up cutting these little, let me zoom in and show you what they are. I'm going to cut these little fragments. Not just the dust and the things that scan on my mat, but I'm going to be cutting like those partial bottles, and I don't want to do that. So ignore object size, but only ignore object size, say, you know, maybe 1/2 inch or so. If you ignore objects too big, you're going to be ignoring the very thing you're trying to scan. And you don't want to ignore the bottles, so don't go too big with the ignoring. You just want to get rid of those fragments over there. Then you say okay, and then the other thing I like to do while I'm here, say okay again, is I like to put a little outline distance around my cutouts, and that gives them a nice little white border. So I'm going to go ahead and say click here, and I'm going to do outline distance of 0.04. And then I still need to edit that one fragment that still got in there. So let's go in there, and I'm going to get rid of that one bit right there. So I'm going to say edit, and here is the little fragment, and whatever you don't want to cut out, you just click on something to select it, use your little stylus tool, and you hit the trash button. Say okay, and now we're ready to cut. Now I'm not going to make you wait while this cuts, but I will come back and show you. So we just say cut, and you could like cut or draw. After you've selected things, you could cut or draw, but we're going to just cut because that's what we're trying to do, and it's going to take 3 minutes. And I'm using, by the way, an auto blade because I'm using an STX machine right now. See? So this is an auto blade, meaning I don't have to set the blade depth. But if you're watching this tutorial with a CM model where you have to set the blade depth, and you're cutting designer series paper by Stampin' Up, you need a blade depth of 3. Okay, but you don't need a blade depth at all set when you have auto blade because it senses the paper. I'm going to just show you what it looks like as it starts to cut. And then I'm going to come back in just a couple minutes. See, that's all it's doing. And notice how I didn't put it up too close to the top of the mat. So I'll be right back and show you how I unload this. And you're going to get to see a lot more steps, and we're going to do it again with another piece of paper. We are finished cutting. We say okay, and you click on this button here to remove the mat. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and remove the mat, remove the machine, show you how I remove the paper. Sorry if it squeaks. Yeah, see my machine? It's really heavy and I have to slide it sometimes. See, I can't go in much further because of the plug of where I had to move to. I'm trying to move to another part of the house where I don't get as much of an echo, and then now the plug barely reaches. All right, so what we're doing is I'm going to show you how to remove the paper. So you would just peel the paper off the mat, and notice there's a little tiny rip up there, but that's okay. That's only because sometimes if the mat's not very sticky in certain places, the blade like catches or rips a little bit. It's no big deal. I mean, I'm saying I got an almost 100% success rate. One little perfume bottle, the tip of it has a little rip, and you know what? It doesn't matter because the perfume bottle can be covered with another bottle as you layer these up. This is absolutely amazing, and this is why I used the little outline distance around these. And if you're not getting an even outline distance, meaning if you're not getting the same amount of white space around the outside, then be sure to watch my videos on how to do the scanning, cutting, position adjustment so that you get that even white space, because it took me a lot to get this, honestly, to get this exactly even around there. So you could peel the mat like this and they would come off, or in my case I'm just going to use a spatula, and I want to do this kind of quick so that I can move on and show you the other papers and show you why I chose the papers I did. So when you're cutting pattern paper, you want to choose patterns that are big because you're using them for embellishments. You turn them into stickers, or you pop them up with dimensionals, and you want to turn them into embellishments. But when you have really tiny patterns, I think tiny patterns like this one are better for making boxes. Now the ScanNCut will cut out items that small. I've done it in my courses. I've shown how small that the ScanNCut will go, but it's just not worth it to me to wait for 15 minutes to cut out little tiny makeup brushes when I think they make better background patterns and better patterns for boxes and these little paper purses that you can make with this suite. Okay, so once again, this is called the Best Dressed Suite. So excellent job. So that was the first piece we cut out, and here let me put that on a piece of contrast contrasting color background, and you can see here we are. So now I'm going to show you how I would load another piece of paper, and I'm going to show you the paper in this stack. So when you get a pack of 6x6 designer series paper, we sell different kinds of packs. In Stampin' Up, we sell 12x12 and 6x6. When you get 6x6, you get 48 sheets of paper. The 48 sheets of paper are double-sided. You end up with 24 different designs. So I'm going to show you those designs. That's the one we just cut. So you see how everyone has a background. And I'm going to tell you the coordinating colors as I go through the designs. So hopefully, let me just focus this so you can see every piece of paper clearly. Okay, the Best Dressed Suite. The coordinating colors are Basic Gray, Blackberry Bliss, Daffodil Delight, Lovely Lipstick, Mint Macaron, that's definitely this one here, Old Olive, and you can see that in the leaves, Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock, there's some Petal Pink, Purple Posy, and Whisper White. So loads and loads of colors are going to coordinate with the suite, Best Dressed, and I need to mention something about the shoes and the purses. So we will get to that. So, and little flowers. I did do a purse out of this one. Okay, so when you have tiny patterns like this, it's great for making little boxes, which I did. And I'll talk about the purses and the shoes, and then we will cut out the lipstick, because the lipstick is, I found, the most useful. These are my favorite ones. These 1, 2, 3, these are my favorite pieces, that lipstick, because you can use one of the sentiments to go along with that. And I really got this suite for my friends more than myself, which is what crafting is all about. I have so many friends that love wearing makeup, and so many friends that love wearing perfume and dressing up and shoes and all this. I personally am a plain Jane, and I wear just a tiny bit of makeup, and I just don't even wear lipstick, I wear lip gloss. But anyway, I bought this so I could give it to other people, because I think they'll appreciate it, because it's, and you know, I just love trendy things. And truth be told, I have to have like every new designer series paper that comes out. I get excited. All right, so now I'm going to show you why I loaded it on the edge of the mat, and tell you a couple things. So I'll talk, and let me just load this one, and then I'll go back to what I was saying. So never put, when you have a piece of designer series paper like this that has a pattern close to the edge. See, there's a pattern close to the edge. And I want to put an outline distance around these. So never put these too close to the edge. Don't put this piece of paper up here. If you put it up there, it's going to see, you're going to get an error message that says pattern cannot be cut out of the effective area. And you might not understand what that means. It means that you're too close to the edge. I'm going to put the paper about here. So I'm not too close to the edge. So that's what I wanted to show you. And now I'm going to go ahead and load the mat, and then I can turn my squeaky machine around. I just always give it a rub, and you can use a brayer. I have a Brother brayer, and it helps keep the paper on there. Or you can use painter's tape. Okay, so let me just load it, and then I'll move the machine again. And I'm sorry I'm on a coffee table, so it's kind of like, we're a little crammed here, but we're doing it. We're doing this tutorial. Squeaky or not, my crafty friends, 99% of you are very nice to me, no matter how many mistakes I make. All right, so here we go. What we're doing is we're going home. We're hitting home, and we're going to do this again just for reinforcement, and then I'm going to talk about about these two right here. I'm going to talk about those. All right, so we turn on the machine, we get to pattern and scan. We have a piece of pattern paper. We're going to say scan. We're going to say direct cut, because we're directly cutting out these patterns, and we're going to save it to our machine temporarily. That's just storage area. This is where you change what scanning area it is. We want to keep it at 12 by 12. You can also use a 6 by 6 area. Never use color recognition mode when you have such good contrast between the foreground and the background, even though these papers are in color. So anyway, we say okay, and we start. Now there is something that's not called direct cut. It's called ScanNCut data. And normally you use ScanNCut data when you want to cut the inside and outside of images. And I did try that with this paper, and I just want to save you guys all the hassle. It didn't really work on this kind of paper, the ScanNCut data. And the reason why is because of the way that the artist watercolored it. These are not distinct black lines. you see how there's watercoloring outside of the line. So it was very hard to cut the inside of this purse. So I just ended up cutting the outside of all of these purses and the outside of the shoes. And the same thing happened with the shoes. When I tried to cut the inside of the shoes, see how the watercolor went outside the lines. It didn't really affect this makeup that much, even though the watercolor was still outside the lines, because of the way that there was a nice black line around it. So anyway, these two papers you can cut just fine, but still use direct cut is my point. Use direct cut. Don't try to use ScanNCut data and cut the insides of those out. There are other more suitable images for cutting out the inside, like that butterfly I did, the Beautiful Day stamp set. I have shown on my channel how to cut the inside and outside of several kinds of stamped images, but this is just not one of the pattern papers or images you can do that with. Okay, again, we're framing the image. This is just a review. We're gonna ignore the object size again. Ignore, come on. I don't know, 1/2 inch again. Not too big, about 1/2 inch, because if you get too big, your lipstick will disappear. Okay, let's say okay. And again, I always like outline distances. I get asked all the time, do we have to add an outline distance? No, do whatever you want. You're a crafter. If you don't want an outline distance, cut along the line. However, using an outline distance makes it a little more forgiving, because that way if your machine's not totally aligned, you can't really tell because there's a little white around your image. Now I need to edit those little fragments out up here. And if you can't really get to them with your stylus, just get to them by using the selection arrows. See, because if I can't select them with my stylus, the machine will still select them, because these selection arrows select every single thing on the screen. I'm okay with all this. I think I got my outline distance all set, 0.04. There you go. It looks good to me. We're gonna go ahead and cut out. We're gonna say select cut, and we're gonna cut out the lipstick and makeup. Okay, while it's starting to cut, I just want to show you something, and then I'll come back in a couple minutes, but I need to show you that purse while I'm on the topic, because I cut out a lot of these purses and how the watercolor. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. I just need to make sure I covered this with you, crafty friends. If you have something that's not an even line to begin with, this ScanNCut is so sensitive. It picked up. You see that? It picked up the watercoloring, and it cut around it. See the little bumps? Which is fine, and it still looks cute, but I might trim that with scissors to cut more around, because I wanted really just to outline the black parts. But I'll be back, and I'll say that again without the background noise. We'll be back. We are back. We are finished cutting. I'm going to go ahead and just remove a couple from the mat just to give you an idea, and then we're going to get into the projects. Okay, so you say okay, and we don't even need to unload the mat. Let's just move that away so you can see how to. This is just a review. Okay, I think I just need to unplug this machine. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my machine because I can't even clear the table off with it still plugged in. Or else I'll just sit it on the floor there. That's what we're going to do, because I'm on a coffee table. So now you have your mat, and we're going to I'm just going to remove a couple of these and use your little spatula just to show you how awesome they came out. And then you get to see how I used them on projects, which is what ScanNCut is all about. So I don't just show you in my tutorials how to cut something out. I show you what to do with them and try to give you lots of ideas and inspiration on how to use these embellishments and how they all coordinate. So isn't that amazing? So there are little makeup brushes. Now, even though these were watercolored as well, they still had nice even cutting distances around them. So if you're a ScanNCut user and a Stampin' Up enthusiast, like many of my viewers are, this is the paper for you. If you are new to Stampin' Up products and you'd like this spring, it's called the January to the June spring mini catalog, or it's not even called spring, I just keep calling it spring. I'm not allowed to show you the inside yet, that's why it's taped until January 3rd. So I'm not allowed to go through the catalog with you, but I will, after January 3rd, show you the inside pages. But if you'd like one of these in print or a PDF after January 3rd, you'll get the printed one before January 3rd, but the PDF I can't share it till after January 3rd, then please use the contact form in the link. Now, I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US only, so if you're from other countries, still feel free to contact me, say hello, but I can't send you a catalog. The shipping would cost more than well, I can't sell to other countries, and I also can't send you a catalog. But there are demonstrators in many other countries that I can hook you up with. All right, let's get into the projects. We are using the Best Dressed Suite. I told you I'm showing you 5 new products from our spring catalog. The first product I'm going to show you with the examples that we just cut out are called the Best Dressed 3" by 3" note cards and envelopes. This is what the pack looks like. They come in a pack of 24 note cards and envelopes. I'm going to show you about a dozen. No, maybe not a dozen. I'm showing you 15 projects total. I think 10 cards. We'll see. Yeah, I've made 10 cards. I made 9 with these mini note cards and envelopes. Okay, so here's how you can use the embellishments we just cut out. This watercolor wash was already part of the card, and this is Grapefruit Grove color. And then the little scalloped envelopes, they come with it. I mean, they match, see? And then you can put a little note on the envelope. Okay, and here's another one. Kindness is always in style. So this is the first 4 have that sentiment. Kindness is always in style. I'll show you the stamp set in a minute. I stamped everything in black. So what I like to do is assembly line process. I like to do all my stamping on all the cards. I stamped right onto these cards, and then I did all the embellishing. And most of the time I just glued these down or used rolling adhesive. Okay, that was kindness is always in style was one of the sentiments. Hello fabulous is another sentiment. And then sometimes I pop them up with dimensionals, but since these are going in a larger envelope as something for my customers, then I wouldn't pop them up with dimensionals, because lately my post office is getting mad at me. They're charging me extra for mailing because they said your envelopes are too thick, but I'm like, hey, they're still less than 1 ounce, and they're like tough. So anyway, they're making me pay more, so I'm trying to keep things flatter. That's my goal, to not make the post office mad at me. I need them to be my friends. This is Daffodil Delight, I think. That's the color there. Yes, it is. And then this is Purple Posy. That's the color there for this card. And this is the Hello Fabulous. And then there's another sentiment called Life is Short, Buy the Shoes. And that's how I used the shoes I cut out with the ScanNCut. And then Be as Bold as Your Lipstick. And notice how I used what's called Wink of Stella. I don't know if you can see that. Well, this little thing was already glimmer paper, but I used Wink of Stella on the lipstick to make it shine even more. Okay, and now I'm going to introduce another product. So this is the Designer Series paper, Best Dressed. This is a note card, but I want to show you the product that I used in the background, the ribbon. That's something new from our spring catalog as well. And it is called Petal Pink. It comes with another suite the suite is called Parisian Blossoms. I didn't get that suite, but I love the ribbon from that suite. Parisian Blossoms. And this ribbon is called Metallic Edge Ribbon. Petal Pink Metallic Edge Ribbon. Okay, now I'm going to show you the stamp set. Dress to Impress. And I get asked all the time, do you buy the dies even though you have a ScanNCut? Sure, I buy the dies, and I have to show you why I buy the dies. I mean, you can cut out stamped images using your ScanNCut. You could cut this out, no problem. You'd have to use a pencil, of course, to fill in the lipstick and all this. However, our die sets have more than just the coordinating dies that go with the stamp set. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I need to teach you in context. My favorite project is last, so I will get to that. Now I want to get to the ScanNCut users, show you something about this. Okay, last video, I did a very long video. It took me several days to make, at least 3 days to produce, and several more days of experimentation, where I learned how to use a template maker that one of my viewers, Helen, told me about. And then in the template maker, you can customize it. So I took that pattern and I showed you how to make little Christmas boxes. Well, I did it again with the Best Dressed Suite. And I like to relate back to my previous tutorials. And here are the 4 little boxes. I'll even show you what's in them, that I created using the template maker, using the same treat box size that I was using in that other tutorial. But you can customize the template maker to make any boxes you want. So let's just go through these and these little examples. Now this little box, I used the dies. The dies that came in the Best Dressed Suite have little stitching around them. See, so I like being able to have the little stitching which is nice. And then I can make my little embellishments. There's the shoes we cut out with the ScanNCut. And then I put inside, and it's double-sided box, so the gift that keeps on giving, because people love opening up double-sided paper boxes. And then I have little mini Tic Tacs inside there. Mini Tic Tacs. Okay, now then for this one, kindness is always in style. Since it's a little makeup theme box, I thought, why not put little makeup sponges in it? Because I would be giving someone more than one of each box. Like I could give them this box and this box together. And I'm gonna give these out this Christmas as stocking stuffers to some visitors I have coming. So they'll get like a couple boxes. Okay, so these are just little makeup brushes. And 2 of those fit in there. They're little wedges, maybe 3, but I put 2 in there easily. And if you're not a crafter, use the makeup sponges for makeup, but if you're a crafter, I use the makeup sponges for crafting. That's why I have so many makeup sponges. And there's the little embellishment. Okay, now here's another one. Hello Fabulous, with a little bit of Wink Costello on it. Oh no, I'm gonna put it on there. I thought I glimmered it already. This is what I'm saying. Why bother cutting these out with the ScanNCut? Why bother cutting out such a small pattern when you can make such cute boxes instead? So when you have really small patterns like that, think of making them into boxes. And again, the wedges, and then this one again. This is the perfume one. I put a big bottle of perfume on that one. And more Tic Tacs. So I get these little traveling Tic Tacs. I actually found a place to get them now, but I do usually get them. I used to get them at like airports when I'm traveling. All right, so now let's see. This is my favorite one. Okay, I have to show you the dies before I show you my favorite project, which is the paper purse. So this is why I get the dies. Not to cut out stamped images as much, because I do probably would use a machine if it's faster. I use whatever's faster. I keep it real. If my machine's faster, I'm using it. If a die is faster, I'm using it. But the best dressed dies are friggin' amazing. Look at them. They have stitching, and you can make a paper purse. So yes, you can cut out stamped images, but look at all these stitching. Now, not that the ScanNCut doesn't do stitching, but it doesn't do as good of a job as a big shot machine or as a die cutting machine. So that's the strap of the purse. That's the purse, and I'm gonna show you what I made with it. So that is called the dies. Now this is, you can't run the die through, I get asked all the time. You could actually scan the die in later, but you wouldn't get any stitching. So no, I'm not gonna use this. I'm not gonna make a purse out of my machine. I'm not scanning in a stitch die. There's no way. I'm gonna use what the best tool for the job is. I'm gonna use a metal die for making this purse. But I used the ScanNCut for making the embellishments on my purse. Okay, so I used the metal die for the purse itself. There's the purse. It has all the little creases. You run the die through twice. You run the piece of designer series paper through twice. Actually, I didn't have to run it through twice. In fact, if I recall, I actually put the designer series paper. I just put it up in together, I believe. I put 2 pieces in there at the same time. Okay, so anyway, that's the little paper purse with the inside double-sided paper and the little straps I cut out, and there's all this little stitching, and there are the little embellishments. So thank you for watching this tutorial on how to cut out patterned paper using your ScanNCut. And please contact me if you're interested in getting a catalog. These products will be available January 3rd, and you can get your hands on them January 3rd, unless you join my team before then, and you're allowed to order from the new catalog at any point if you join as a demonstrator. Thank you. This is the Papered Chef.